it was a hot topic yesterday as the New York Jets provided some commentary to the situation, because it wasn't just Nathaniel Hackett as offensive coordinator of the Jets that pulled that team into this mix. It was Payton commenting on this concept of winning the offseason. It doesn't happen often where an NFL team or organization gets embarrassed, and that happened here. Part of it was their own fault relative to spending so much expletive time trying to win the offseason. The PR, the pomp and circumstance, marching people around and all this stuff. We're not doing any of that. The Jets did that this year. You watch. Hard Knocks. All of it. I can see it coming. Remember when Dan Snyder put that dream team together? I was at the Giants. I was a young coach. I thought, how are we going to compete with them? Deion Sanders is there now. That team won 8 games or whatever. So listen, just put the work in. Yes, Sean. Very good advice. Very sage. Very wise. Just put the work in. When I saw that, I thought, yes, why are you saying all this? This is all stuff that should be confined to behind closed doors, not out in the open. Because now, week 5, here come the Jets. The Jets, who otherwise are swamped with the Bills twice, the Dolphins twice, the Patriots twice, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Eagles. The Broncos game was a rest stop as part of this marathon, this gauntlet they have to run. Now, all of a sudden, you got the full attention of the Jets come week 5. Now, all of a sudden, a game that I would have looked at that day and said, now that's must-see TV when the Jets and the Broncos play, all because of what Sean Payton had to say.
Yeah, that's true. And the funny thing, too, is, they're doing Hard Knocks. They didn't want to do Hard Knocks. They famously did not want to do Hard Knocks. I mean, everybody knows that they were basically forced into doing Hard Knocks, and they've got to put these provisions around like, hey, we don't want them showing this and that. And, every team gets final approval of what's on Hard Knocks. But I think that the criticism of them for being excited that Aaron freaking Rodgers is going to come in and be their quarterback, like, yeah, you should be excited about that. I'm sorry. And to criticize them for being on Hard Knocks, I think that that's a little ridiculous.
Well, but let me say this. And you're right. They didn't want to do Hard Knocks. But with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, this is where there, I think, becomes tension within an organization. Because you've got the business side of it that wants to fully embrace the hype and profit from it. You've got the football side that would be inclined to say, let's tap the brakes a bit. Let's not let this get out of control. I think back to your Cleveland Browns of 2019, the year after they kind of rose up for the first time in forever, and the expectations went through the roof. And I said in this very chair, you need somebody to control these expectations, because it's going to be perceived as a failure if you don't get to the playoffs and maybe advance a round or two. And you need somebody to be saying, we haven't proven anything. We haven't done anything. Robert Saleh in New York should arguably be saying, we haven't been to the playoffs. We haven't done a damn thing. We don't know how this is going to work. Look at how all these supposed great teams of the past have failed to fulfill their potential. We got to compete with everyone on our schedule. Have you seen our schedule? Have you seen who we have to play? Now, he had Sean Payton say all that stuff for him. Robert Saleh didn't say any of that yesterday. Here's some of what he had to say when he had a chance to respond to Sean Payton's criticism of the Jets as this year's dream team.
Well, I'm not going to acknowledge Sean on that. He's been in the league a while. He can say whatever the hell he wants. But as far as what we have going on here, it's I kind of live by saying, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. So hate away. It's obviously we're doing something right if you got to talk about us when we don't play you till week 4, and I'm good with it. But the guys in our locker room, they've earned everything that's coming to them. And really excited about what's going on. I think Hackett's doing a phenomenal job here. The coaching staff is doing a phenomenal job, and we're focused on us. I get it. There's a lot of external noise. There's a lot of people who are hating on us. There's a lot of people looking for us to fail. There's a lot of crows pecking at our neck. But all you can do is spread your wings, keep flying high until those crows fall off and suffocate from the inability to breathe. It's a whole other analogy I'll get into later. But really, really, really excited about the group we have, the coaching that's going on, and But I'm going to keep our focus on us and making sure that we're prepared every single day to do the best we can and learn from our past and grow with every moment that we have.
He's just rattling off cliches there to see which one's going to work. And he's saying, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping, so hate away. It doesn't really fit on a T-shirt. It needs to be a little more concise to really have the impact, right? It's a little too wordy. Good sayings aren't very wordy. But I get his point, and you're right. They're relevant now. They're relevant. They have Aaron Rodgers. They think they're onto something pretty good. But really, there hasn't been much of an attempt by the Jets to tamp down those expectations. And I think that's part of the organizational tension. The business side, raise that bar. Raise that bar and count that cash. That would look good on a T-shirt. That's what's going on with the Jets. Somebody's got to be the adult in the room there and say, we haven't done a GD thing here. We haven't been to a playoffs. We fell apart last year. So Anyway, hey, week 5. I can't wait. Too early to flex it to Sunday night. We got the Jets on Sunday night, week 4 against the Chiefs. They're not going to be able to catch their breath. They're going to be ready to go the next week against the Broncos, and the Broncos are going to be ready for them.
Yeah, I mean, they should be. Look, I mean, I think what Robert Saleh said was decent, to try and rally his team, right? And that's something that he's done from the podium before. Last year when he was talking about receipts, and I guess we can have the receipts now from last year because they ended up falling apart. So that's one thing. But, when he's like, oh, I'm not going to acknowledge Sean, and then he has this entire answer that basically does acknowledge everything that he said. It's a rhetorical device at that point. You're talking about crows and pecking at your neck and flying so high that they can't breathe and all these different things. Like you said, it's different cliches. Maybe one sticks against the wall and it actually works. I don't know, but I think that there's reason certainly to be excited if you are a Jets fan. But you do have to tamper that with, oh, yeah, by the way, we weren't really all that good last year. What did we do? Big Jets. What have we done? Not a damn thing. Come on. Let's I think that might be a better way of embracing it.
That's the approach that one time Jets coach Lou Holtz would have indeed taken. And yes, once upon a time, for like 1 year, he was the head coach of the New York Jets. Billy Turner, who was with the Broncos last year and is now with the New York Jets, went to social media and we got to do a better job blocking out that word. I can see that word, baby. I see that word. but before that word, we need a new Sharpie. Our Sharpie is out of ink. Seems like someone started training camp and is trying to soften the blow after realizing what he's in for this season. And I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Turner kind of picked that up in the locker room yesterday. See, there may be a difference between what Robert Saleh said publicly and what he may have said in the locker room. And it's possible he said in the locker room while trying to explain the attack on their offensive coordinator, Payton thinks he's going to lose this year. Payton thinks he's going to have a long year, and he wants to set up the blame now that it's on last year. That last year was so bad, it kept me from winning this year.
Maybe, but he also said that he would be ticked off if the team didn't make the playoffs this year. So, I don't know. I guess that it is in some ways trying to do that and trying to set this up or trying to set that up.
He'll be ticked off really because they did it because it was so bad last year. That's why I'm ticked off. Right. This team should make the playoffs, but they were so bad last year and it was so toxic and negative and everything it shouldn't have been. I couldn't overcome it in 1 year. Don't blame me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, at a certain point, then, then who's standing up or not standing up and letting it all happen when Sean Payton's the head coach then, right? Aren't you supposed to be the guy where the buck stops if you are now the leader of men that is the Denver Broncos and all this stuff? I don't know, man. I think when Sean Payton said this, he had to know that this was going to get some sort of reaction, right? And so maybe he does it because he's trying to say, look, all of the stuff that was last year is last year, right? I'm leaving that in the past. And now we have to rally around each other and rally around ourselves because, look, it wasn't your fault what happened last year. right? Everything that happened last year is the fault of somebody who is no longer in the building. So my expectations are that we are going to be a damn good team. We're going to be a playoff team because all that crap last year with the 20 dirty hands, those dirty hands are out of the building, except for, George Payton and also the team president and ownership. So like that to me is kind of where I see it. And it's kind of why he might have done it. But again, I don't necessarily know why you got to do that publicly in a newspaper.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.